Every time you turn around, there's a video or somebody's posting on X that there's going to be some type of crash or something crazy is going to happen with the gaming industry and all these other things. Now, I'm not one of these guys that think that. I do think that the industry is in a bad shape, and I do believe that at some point they're going to have to find some way to correct itself. Even with this AI situation, they're going to have to find a way to correct themselves so they can continue to make money without trying to pass on everything to the consumer, because at some point the consumer is going to have a breaking point and they're not going to be able to afford the stuff that these gaming companies want to sell, i.e. the next PlayStation or even the next Xbox. And even if the Nintendo Switch 3 comes out, I mean, you got to be really careful about how you price these things. Now, I saw somewhere where there was a analyst talking about how the PlayStation 6 absolutely has to sell a lot so it can continue its legacy as far as the PlayStation goes. Now, I can't remember where I got this from. I think I was overhearing it somewhere on the internet. I'm sorry I can't find it. But nevertheless, they do say that the install base of the PlayStation 6 has to start out really, really well, or the PS5 is going to continue to be the place to develop games. Now, I was thinking, how is this going to be the case? How is that going to be a thing? And then I thought about the Wii versus the Wii U, where the Wii had a really big install base and the Wii U basically was able to not do well because it just didn't have the install base to come in. You got to understand, at the time of the Wii U release, the original Wii was almost, or it was over 100 million, consoles sold. And this is kind of the same with the PlayStation 5. Now, with the PS6 or even with the Xbox, 'cause I don't think the Xbox will fit in this category because of the lack of install base. But when you look at the PS6, was already at 90 plus million. They're already having issues with selling the PS5 at the price that it is. And I think it's like $600 to $900 right now. So when you look at something like that and then you try to bring in a PS6 that is $1,000 possibly, I will be generous and say it may come out at 900. That could be too high for the average gamer to go out and buy. Therefore, the niche crowd is going to pick it up and it may end up selling the same amount, if not slightly more than what the Wii U sold. You got to understand, the Wii U is at 13 mil, but when it started out, I think it started out at 7 or 8 million, and that is your hardcore guys. These are not the guys that are, or the girls that, necessarily wait until something goes down in price. These are the ones that will buy day one and will want to have it, and the rest of us are, middle of the road or casual guys or girls that just will buy whenever they see fit as far as finances or, whenever they get a really good deal or whatever the case may be. So those things are a really big deal. So when you have an install base that may be very low, around the 6 to 10 million to start out, and it doesn't move the needle as much like the Wii U, you can have a situation where developers could still want to just continue to develop for the PS5. And let's be honest, with the way technology is moving right now, that may be the viable choice to try to max out the PS5 like they used to do back in the old days, to max out the console to get as much as out of it because the install base is there to actually buy your games. Like I said, the Wii U had this issue and those games on the Wii U could not go back and be on the Wii. So the Wii U was just dead in the water. Fortunately for the PS6, you have a situation where the PS6 could actually have games that could move to the PlayStation 5, and you're probably going to have a situation where, like the PS5 was with the PS4, where there are games that were still being developed for the PS4 as up to last year, where AAA companies still wanted that install base until the PS5 started picking up enough steam to where it feels like the PS4 could be left behind. Now, I don't know if this is going to be a thing for the PS6. Obviously, we're going to have some cross-gen games coming into that year of 2027, 2028. Games are still going to be put onto the PS5 for a good while. Now, once it gets to, let's say, 2030, 2031, when it's 4 or 5 years into the cycle, I want to know how things are going to be then. Will games still be ported to the PS5 because of the fact that the install base is not there, where everybody's not purchasing a $1,000 plus console because of the AI boom? That is something to really think about. Like, people were, and one of my subscribers said this in the live stream that I was doing. They said they may not even buy the PS6 until like 2030, maybe 2031. And to be honest, that may be a smart move if you really look at the scheme of things, because the install base of the PS5 may still be just as strong for developers to continue to say, hey, I'm going to put this game on here. And yeah, the PS6 maybe have some latest and greatest technology behind it, and then the games may run better. But if they really squeeze the juice out of the PS5, you can look at a situation where it may not be that big of a leap to say, hey, I want a $1,000 console to compensate for the performance and graphical fidelity I may get out of a PS6. And that's where we are now. I started to look at this when I was doing a shopping for my PC, and I was like really close to actually getting a 5070 Ti or a 5080. Now I know some of the PC buffs are going to say, oh, you should have got that, or whatever the case may be. But when I looked at exactly what I wanted to do with my PC and what games I wanted and how I wanted those games to perform, I ended up wanting to get the 9070. And the 9070 was there available at the time, but it was only online. I like to purchase big price products in hand at the store so I can walk out with it, because I don't like buying expensive stuff online, things that happen in the mail, whatever the case may be. So I end up settling, and I would say settle loosely, for the 9060 XT overclock. And I think that is just as good as a 9070. And I'm good with that, spending $300 less. So I'm looking at that analogy compared to the analogy of the PlayStation 6. They're going to have to do something to actually justify that price point, because there's no doubt in my mind that PS6 will not be cheaper than the PS5 Pro. I will be astonishingly surprised if that's the case, and I will be jaw dropped if that's the case, because that would be so upside down that it'd be crazy. So with the PS5 Pro being $899, I expect the PS6 to be maybe anywhere between $1,000 to $1,100. That's just where I look at it. So do you think that the masses will gravitate to that price point, to the point where the PS5 will actually be abandoned in 1 or 2 years, kind of similar to the PlayStation 3, where the PlayStation 3 was abandoned and all the stuff started going to the PS4 probably around 2014, 2015. I don't know if that's going to be the case when 1 or 2 years the PS5 will still be, will be abandoned, because when you look at the PS4, the PlayStation 4 was not abandoned until like 2025. And now we're like 2 years out from another console being developed. I think the PS5 is going to have that same fate, where a lot of cross-gen stuff is going to continue to linger for another 5 or 6 years. So you're probably looking at 2031, 2032, because the install base of the PS6 may not be as viable, or maybe as, logical financial wise, to just abandon the PS5. Because by then, I think the PS5 may hit over 100 million units out in the wild, and the install base will be around maybe, like, let's say 80 to maybe 75 million. Now you're trying to bring in another game for the PS6, and those games I'm going to be extremely generous, maybe 20 million sold by between 2028 and 2031. I'm being generous, maybe at the price point of 1,000. You're kind of thinking like, all right, how long is this cross-gen thing is going to happen? Because the PS5 is still viable. You can still make some great games off of it. You still have some really good graphical looking games. It's not really showing its age, unless if you want to nitpick and say, oh, this, and this. Because you can get a lot of games right now that can run at 60 frames, and in some cases checkerboard at 4K or legit 4K if you tweak and optimize correctly. I've seen it happen. We've all seen it happen. So when you look at that compared to, what's going on in the industry with the RAM prices, and technology is not able to, leap forward because of AI, we may have a situation where we have a lot of cross-gen games for PS5, or for the PS6, I'm sorry, on the PS5. So that's just my thoughts and opinions. You guys let me know what you think. It's just something I was thinking about, because the PS4, we're still getting some games for the PS4. I think AAA started to die down a little bit, especially in 2025 they did, but that is very long for a company or to have games still going through the cross gen. After a year or so, you would think that the PS4 would have been abandoned. So yeah, you guys let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys on the next one. All right, y'all, I'm out. Peace.